Okay, so hi there, class. This video is about how to do background research. And what that means, as my description says of this video, is getting a sense of what's out there in order to know, what to look at in more detail. If you start too quickly to just dive in and start reading everything, you might get on the wrong track. So you want to sort of look broadly first and then get a sense of where you want to look in a little more depth. And so where we are now is the library page for DVC. And of course, the easiest way to get here is probably just to Google DVC library. And of course, that will be the first thing. And that will take you to this page. Now, it's really important that you use this website in addition to Google. Google will help you with this essay, especially for finding sources that are either conservative or liberal out on the internet. But then the library has a lot of resources that are specifically good for academic contexts, and so you're going to need some of those sources as well. And in particular, you need an academic journal article. But there's also great sources here to get you started with background research. So there's two things I want you to look at. One is the one search bar, which we'll be using later. There's also a books tab for books in the library, but I don't think that's probably what you need for this essay. We want to use the one search. We'll talk about that. And then the other thing is this link right here that says articles and more. And we're going to start there. So we'll click on that. And you'll see this gives you a list of several different databases. A database is a place that collects just specific articles and information um, of different kinds. And you'll see there's world news, there's all kinds of different things here. Some of these are more relevant than others, and feel free to move around these and try lots of different things out. I want to point out two in particular that you'll find actually on the right hand side here, popular databases. And the first one we're going to look at is Gale Virtual Reference Library. So if you click on this, it's going to ask you for your login information if you're not on the DVC campus. I've already logged in, so it didn't ask me, but you will have to do that. And then once you log in, you'll see this. What we're looking at here is a collection of basically encyclopedia information. Encyclopedias are introductory, they're places to start your research. It's not enough to have just encyclopedia information, but it's a really good place to start because it gives you a sense of what's out there. So this is a great place to begin. And let's say I'm going to be working on the topic immigration. So we can just start with the simplest search term, which is immigration. You can see they suggest lots of other things too, but let's just start with that and see what we find. And you can see it's brought up 3,600 sources. That's a lot, but even within the first few sources, there's lots here. And I could really scroll through and find lots of different things. You can see where they come from. This is from the Encyclopedia of Race and Racism. So that might have a particular slant on this issue. Legal and illegal immigration. Illegal immigration. Let me look at that one. So here, there's a little summary, and it tells me what's going to be in here. And I think I'll look. If I were you, I would look through lots of things you find in the list. But let's say this looks really good to me. So I'll scan it a little bit and have a look at it. But maybe I want to look at it in detail later. So you're going to want to save it. Now you have a couple different options. One is you can download it directly. Download the PDF. And then if you do that, See, I'm waiting for it to download here. I'll get this in a PDF format, and you can see all the information's here. And it's got page numbers because it's from an ebook. And let's see. So this is lots of charts and really good information. Now, one thing that's missing, let's say I download this. How would I cite this, right? That's a really important thing. If I just had this PDF, I'd forget where it came from, maybe. So for that, we can do an email. And you can leave that blank. And we'll say full text when available. All right, and then that should come to my email. And then, let's see, I'll let that open up, but I also want to show you one other really important thing, which is in order to get your citations, you've got citation tools, and you'll always find this, some version of this. MLA 8th edition is what we're going to be using. So you can, what I would do if I were you is I would just copy paste this into your own document, and then this can be the start of your works cited page. And here's the information here. And it does not, let's see, I don't think it, yeah, it's got an MLA citation at the bottom of the email. Okay, so that's how to use Gale Virtual Reference. That's one source that you can use. And of course, there's lots of ways to refine your search. Let's say, I had immigration, that's pretty broad. I could add search terms to make that more relevant to me. Okay. So we're going to go back to this databases page. I'm going to show you one other one, which is also in the popular databases, called CQ Researcher. So CQ stands for Congressional Quarterly, and these are reports that are written to inform people in Congress about current issues. So it's kind of a specific kind of source, and it's always about kind of relevant topics from the current political climate. So that's why this is really particularly useful to us. If you sort of look here, we've got artificial intelligence, population, superbugs having to do with antibiotics, foster care, gun violence. These are all really contemporary issues. You can look here, college debt, death penalty. So there's lots of issues, and some of these, in fact, are some of the issues that you might use for your paper. So again, I could just search, well, actually, no, here it is, immigration policy. So I'm going to just click on that and see what I find. So here's a report that's from June 4th, 2018. So that's very recent, and that's about Dreamers, the DACA program. And so there's a report here, and you'll notice that there are sources too, which will link you to news articles. So that's actually really good also, since that could be relevant for you too. And then you want to look at related reports too. And I'm looking at these related reports, and I see this one here, immigration debate. That sounds very relevant for me, although if I look at the date, 2008 is probably a little old for our purposes for this paper, since we're trying to talk about the contemporary moment, and so much has changed since 2008. But maybe this could be useful to me, immigrants and the economy. And what you'll find in these reports, so this is a full report. It's got a lot of stuff in it. Introduction, overview, background, current situation, outlook. So you can click around a little bit. Um, and so because it's from 2017, it's talking about President Trump, the current situation. So that's good. It's really recent. Restrictions, sanctuary cities, these are all issues that have to do with right now. The background would be useful. There's something called a pro-con um, that could be really useful in thinking about different sides of this issue, liberal views versus conservative views. Another thing that can be really useful is the bibliography, because here there's a lot of stuff here. And you'll see we have newspaper sources like the Wall Street Journal or the Atlantic. These are news sources that you can maybe use. So if you could just go to that link, and maybe that itself could be a source for your essay. That would be really great. Or we have reports from like places like the Public Policy Foundation, Center for Immigration Studies. These are official reports, so that could be really good. Lots of stuff here. So this is a place to start, and then once you start getting into these sources, that's more like in-depth research. But this is always a good idea to look at the bibliography of which you're using. And same here, you can download it as a PDF. You can get the citation. I'm going to click on MLA, and you can copy paste it into your document that way. All right, so those are two sources we have, Gale Virtual Reference and CQ Researcher. And now I'm going to take you back, all the way back to the library homepage, and we're going to look at OneSearch. So here, it works like Google in that you just put in search terms. Let's look at immigration. So one thing that might come up for you is something called a research starter, which is again a little sort of similar to Gale Virtual Reference. It's a good starting place. Now with this one, you'll see it just has an abstract. That means a kind of summary. So what I need to do is find the link that says full text up there, and you click on that. It's going to ask me to log in. And then just like that, I'm logged in. And here's the whole article. Again, lots of really good information, background information, a bibliography I could look at. So that's a good place to start, but that's not in-depth enough. So notice I have 850,000 results here. That is too much. And if you look here, a lot of these sources are really broad. They're not going to be in-depth enough for the purposes of my paper. So there's several ways I want to show you to narrow your results. First of all, let's look at how we have the year. 1810 is definitely not relevant to me. I'm looking for really current information. So I'm going to take this slider and move it all the way up to, let's say, the year 2000. Okay, now notice that hasn't made it much narrower. So there's a couple different ways to do it. You can add things here. At this point, immigration reform in the United States, immigration, see what maybe conservative views on immigration are. But let's go back to where we were just now, and I'll show you something else. Remember that you need one academic journal. An academic journal is a kind of a source that is used really in an academic setting. And these are the kinds of things you would never find on the open internet. Just the DVC pays for these. And it's a level of research that's much higher than what you find on a place like the Atlantic or the Wall Street Journal or a newspaper website. It's going to give you much more in-depth research. So let's there's one really easy way to tell whether something is an academic journal, and that's really by using this checkbox here. And you can see the kinds of results we get are a little different. Reflection of immigration and school culture, using history to inform the modern immigration debate in the United States. Okay, so maybe I'm interested in what the history is, and I might have a section on the history of that in my paper. So let me click on this link. Okay, you'll see a page like this. There's a lot of stuff to look at. One thing is, first of all, you want to look at the abstract. That's a summary of the article. So I can read that and I say, okay, this maybe looks interesting. It's got 19 pages, so that seems good. Now, once again, you can email it to yourself. You can cite it. You can get a permalink, which is a way to get back to this page. If you just copy this into a document, you won't come back to it. But if you copy this, that will work. That will get you back to this page. If it feels good, I'm gonna want to click on the full text. Okay, so this, oopsie, what's happening there? Oh no, okay. Let's try this link, see if that's any better. Yes, okay. So there's these things sometimes happen, but here's the whole thing. And sometimes you have to click a couple buttons. Again, gotta click download full text once again. And here it is. And then this is a PDF which I can download to my computer, and I can read the whole thing. And remember to get the citation, like I said before. And if you remember the citation, you can get back from this original page. All right, so one last thing. Let me go back to this page. Let's say that I have a topic. Say that I'm looking at sexuality, and I type in LGBT. There are fewer sources than this huge topic of immigration. And yet, if I look at this, let's say that I see all this stuff, and I don't know if it feels quite, I don't know, it doesn't feel quite, nothing's working for me. I'm looking at this, and it's, Indonesia, it's not really relevant. So how can I make it more relevant? I need to narrow my topic a little bit, and that's where you want to basically add keywords. So in this case, let's say I'll add the keyword. So what do conservative people think about LGBT? Maybe that will help. So this could be good. Well, if I look a little more closely, you can see that this article is in Spanish. So that's not going to work for me. And maybe it's not about, it looks like it's about Mexico rather than the United States. So that won't work for me. Okay, defining roles for schools and programs of public health. That could be interesting, although maybe that's too narrow. Maybe I'm not interested in schools in particular. Sexual orientation change efforts, conservative Christianity, and resistance to sexual justice. Now this seems interesting. So here again, you read the article and see if that's relevant. Okay, so that's a little background of how to get started doing background research. And then ultimately you want to collect these sources either in your email and PDF form. Always remember to get the citations because you're going to need those later. And these citation tools are really helpful. So you can see that we've kind of moved from this broad overview, get into in-depth research. We've started to pick out more precise articles that we're going to use. And so that's basically the move that you'll start to make in your research, and gather those sources and take it from there. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. You'll have a chance to kind of get started on this process in the worksheet that will come later this week, which is really the discussion topic number 2. And then for your peer review, it's an outline this week, including a work cited. So we're going to want to see what research you have come up with. So this is the week to get into it. Looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with.